Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel Creative Grandma. It's Stitch of the Week time and this week's stitch pattern is number 15 and this is called the Little Shells. This is a beautiful 2-row repeat. It's super simple and it's just a beautiful pattern. So for this pattern we're just doing 3 simple double crochets for the shell and putting a single crochet in the center between the shells. I think you're going to love this pattern. Now I do have my 3 samples to show you today. This first sample is made using red heart stripes. Now I don't have much of the yarn to show you because this is one that I had a little bit left over, so I'm trying to use up some of those odds and ends skeins that I have. So this is a Super Saver stripes and this is the color Favorite Stripes and it's color number 4965. You can see beautiful red, orange, yellow, green, just a beautiful color combination. So that is my first sample and this is the front. And when you turn it over, the back is going to look the same as the front. So we just have to love those reversible patterns. My second sample I made all in white, and I always like to do that bright white stitch sample because it just creates a classic look, an elegant look with just about any stitch pattern you use when you use white. So I think you can see it. Again, I have a white background with a white sample, but you can see the shells. Here's the front. And when you turn it over, there's the back. So that's my second sample. Here is my third sample, and this one I used a variegated yarn. This is a really pretty yarn. This is another Red Heart Super Saver yarn. I have a tote full of partial skeins where I use some of the yarn for samples, and this is called Lovey. This is color number 3959. Now some of my skeins of yarn are pretty old because I saved just about everything, even partial skeins, because I love to use them for my samples. But I thought it worked up really pretty. This is what the yarn looks like and this is what the sample looks like. That's the front, and when you turn it over, this is the back. So when you look at the stitch pattern, you can see that you're going to get totally different looks depending on what yarn you use, how you use that yarn, and how you change colors. And this is where it's fun for you to get really creative with some of these stitch patterns. Now this stitch pattern is a multiple of 4, so you would chain 4 again, and keep chaining in multiples of 4 until you get your chain to the width you want. Again, this is a 2-row repeat. We're going to work row 1, which will be our base row, and row 2 and row 3 will be our repeat row. Now for today's crochet tutorial, I'm going to be using the Sundance Sweets. This is a yarn that I purchased from Hirschner's. I fell in love with this colorway. I fell in love with the yarn, and I will be bringing a crochet tutorial to you using this yarn. I just got the main part of the afghan done. I just have to put the border on, and then I'll be releasing that video. So very, very pretty yarn. And again, this is sold by Hirschner's, and this is the color Jelly Bean, color number 0011. This is a 4 medium weight 100% acrylic yarn. Now the yarn label says to use a size I9 hook, and I find that that's the perfect hook size for this yarn. So whatever yarn you decide to use for this crochet tutorial, just look on your yarn label of the yarn you're going to use and use the hook size recommended on the label. So grab your yarn, grab your hook, and let's learn how to do this stitch pattern. I have my yarn attached to my hook and I just used a double knot. You can use whichever method you prefer to join your yarn to your hook. Now again, the stitch pattern is a multiple of 4, so we're going to chain 16, which is the multiple of 4 times 4 for 16. So yarn over the hook and pull through the loop on your hook. This creates your first chain. The loop on your hook does not count as a chain. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue until you have 16 chains. I'll be back and we'll start row 1. I'm back. I have my 16 chains made and now we're ready to begin row 1. For row 1, we're going to skip the first 3 chain, 1, 2, 3. Into this 4th chain, we're going to work a double crochet right into the 4th chain. We're going to skip the next chain, insert into the next chain, work a single crochet. Now we're ready to begin the repeat. So this is the start of the repeat. You're going to skip the next chain, into the next chain, work 3 double crochet. 1, go back into that same chain, work your 2nd double crochet, insert back into that same chain and work your 3rd double crochet. Your little shell is made. You're going to skip the next chain, insert into the next chain, work a single crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. So let's do it again. You're going to skip the next chain, into the next chain, work 3 double crochet. 1, go into the same chain, work your 2nd double crochet, go back into the same chain again and work your 3rd double crochet. Your little shell is made. You're going to skip the next chain, into the next chain, insert and work a single crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. When you get to the end of your chain, you'll have 2 chains remaining. So if you're working on a wider project, maybe making a baby afghan, you would continue the repeat until you get to the last 2 chains. To finish row 1, we're going to skip that next chain and end the row with 2 double crochet into that last chain. Insert into the last chain, work 2 double crochets. That's 1. Insert back into that last chain, work your 2nd double crochet. So row 1 is finished. Now if you're new to crocheting, make sure you put a stitch marker into this last stitch that you made right here, and then come back to the beginning of row 1 and you'll see we skipped 3 chains. Put your stitch marker right into the top of this 3rd chain. Just count up 1, 2, 3 and put your stitch marker right here into the top of that chain. This will be your last stitch when you come back over with row 2. To begin row 2, you're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn your work. You're going to skip the beginning chain 1, insert into that very first stitch under the top 2 loops, work a single crochet. We're going to skip this next double crochet, and if you're new to crocheting and you're not sure where your stitches are, you can just pull your work slightly and it'll separate the stitches. Here's your double crochet, here's your single crochet, here's your 3 double crochet with a single crochet into the middle. We're going to skip the next double crochet, and into this next single crochet you're going to work 3 double crochet. 1, double crochet back into that same single crochet stitch. That's 2, and then double crochet back into that same stitch, and that's 3 double crochet. Your little shell is made. Now we're ready to begin the repeat. the repeat, we're going to skip this next double crochet into the next double crochet, which is the center stitch of that 3 double crochet group. Insert under the top 2 loops, work a single crochet. Skip the next double crochet and work 3 double crochet into that next single crochet stitch. That's 1. Double crochet back into that same stitch. That's 2. Double crochet back into that same stitch, and that's 3. Your little shell is made, and that is the end of the repeat. So let's do it again. You're going to skip the next stitch, insert into the next stitch, which is the center stitch of that 3 double crochet group, work a single crochet. Skip that next double crochet, into that next single crochet, work 3 double crochet. That's 1. Double crochet back into that same stitch. That's 2. Double crochet back into that same stitch, and that's 3. Your little shell is made, and that is the end of the repeat. When you get to the end of the repeat, you're going to have 2 stitches remaining. You're going to have a double crochet, and you're going to have that turning chain. Now, if you're working on a wider project, then repeat the repeat across the entire length of your project until you get to the last 2 stitches. To end the row, you're going to skip this next double crochet, and you're going to work 1 single crochet right into the top of this turning chain. Insert into the top of that turning chain, work a single crochet. Row 2 is finished. Now we're ready to begin row 3. For row 3, you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. This beginning chain 3 will count as the first double crochet. You're going to turn your work. We're going to work 1 double crochet into this very first stitch. You're going to skip that beginning chain 3, and right at the base of that chain 3 into the very first stitch, work a double crochet. Now, I did forget to tell my new crocheters to make sure you move your stitch markers up with each row. So you want to come up and count up 1, 2, 3. Place your stitch marker right into the top of that beginning chain 3. We're going to skip this next double crochet. We're going to single crochet into this next double crochet, which is the center stitch of that 3 double crochet group. So again, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Now we're ready to begin your repeat. You're going to skip that next double crochet stitch into the next single crochet. We're going to work 3 double crochet. 1, double crochet back into that same single crochet stitch. That's 2, and double crochet back into that same stitch, and that's 3. You're going to skip the next double crochet, insert into the next double crochet. Again, it's the center stitch of that 3 double crochet group, work a single crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it again. You're going to skip the next stitch, into the next stitch, which is the single crochet stitch, work 3 double crochet. 1, double crochet back into that same stitch. That's 2, double crochet back into that same stitch, and that's 3. You're going to skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and again it's the center stitch of that 3 double crochet group, work a single crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. And every time you do rows 2 and 3, you're going to end with 2 stitches at the end of the row. So if you're working on a wider project, just continue the repeat until you get to the last 2 stitches. To end row 3, you're going to skip this next double crochet, and into the ending single crochet, we're going to work 2 double crochet. I always go under the top 2 loops, work your double crochet. Double crochet back into that end stitch. And row 3 is finished, and you can see how pretty this stitch pattern is. This is the front, and again, when you turn it over, it's going to look the same on the back. So now to continue working on your swatch, you just want to repeat rows 2 and row 3 for the pattern. So here are those 3 samples again. So it's up to you to figure out what color and what yarn and how you want to put those yarns together to make your project. So remember, all my Stitch of the Week patterns are free. You can go right to our website, creativegrandma.net. Click on that Stitch of the Week banner and it'll take you right to our Stitch of the Week. We have well over 150 different crochet patterns that are available for you. So thank you everybody for stopping by today. I really hope you enjoyed this stitch pattern today. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the crochet fun here at Creative Grandma's channel. So until next time, happy crocheting everyone.